Hi, everyone. Just wanted to jump in real quick before we get started and say a quick thank you to all my patrons on Patreon. Thank you for supporting this class, and I look forward to creating new videos and new content with your support. So thank you very much. Your name should be appearing in this general area right now. Thanks. Okay, on to serious, very Coptic-y things.
Say beard in Coptic.
Mort.
Mort. Mort.
Yeah, I know, it's such a terrible word.
Or the Morts with the ring, the one ring to rule them all.
Yeah, it's very like Voldemort. Did you know that Voldemort's name was supposed to be pronounced Voldemort?
Yeah, I heard
Without the
about
final
that.
T, and like
But
just everybody pronounced it wrong. And what's her name?
Voldemort
Rowling.
sounds cool too, but
Yeah, it just doesn't have quite the same ring to it as Voldemort. It's like really that Mort really gives it
yeah,
deathy sound.
murderous.
Oh man, my book, my fiction book that I'm writing. Obviously, Harry Potter reminds me because it is strongly influenced by Harry Potter. I don't think I can deny. But there's a bunch of a lot of the people's names are actually Coptic words and phrases. So you mentioned something about that in the Discord, like this would be like a badass name, and I was like, oh,
The Crow, yeah, Pavok would be a cool name.
yeah.
Is it like a fantasy book?
It is. It is a fantasy book. The purpose of it is it has a few purposes. It's kind of trying to answer a bunch of academic type questions that I feel aren't well answered by an academic research approach. So one of the questions is like, how is Egyptian religion and magic meant to actually function? Like, what is the system and how does it work? So I thought that it would actually be a better idea to create a fictional world with Egyptian magic as the magical system of that world. So that's part of it. It's kind of exploring like how they thought the world worked or how they imagined it worked in their fantasies about magic and medicine and all these things. And then the other question that it's trying to answer is like, so in the Egyptian books of the dead, they describe the underworld and the journey through the underworld. It's basically a guidebook to the underworld. Well, how did they get that information? Because none of them claim to have died and seen it themselves. So this is kind of an attempt to answer that question. Like, let's assume that all this magic is real, that Tay really exists, and you're going to go there and you have to find your way through. How does anybody ever figure it out? So a big part of the adventure is one of the main characters. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to spoil it. It's somebody trying to get through the underworld and then communicating the information of the how, so that it can be eventually written down for other people to use. So yeah, it's kind of neat. It's a really fun exercise. I've been working on it for almost a year now, kind of off and on. But yeah, so I'm writing a fantasy novel set in a magical world. So another one of the purposes is that I kind of want to communicate what exactly is so cool about ancient Egypt to people who don't have the time to sit down and study it for years like I did. So I want to kind of capture the sense of place and the the culture and ideas about the universe and all those things. I want to put them in a compact form. And I thought the best way to actually do that would be to just write a story based on it. And one of the things that I'm doing is there's actually nothing in the story that explicitly marks it as being ancient Egypt. You have to kind of know that that's what it is in advance in order to see that. So it's kind of sneaky. It's like, if you didn't know, you'd think it was just a random fictional world with all these weird names for things. But if you do know, it's really obvious that this is like based on ancient Egypt and everything is derived from ancient Egyptian ideas. So yeah, it's a bunch of different things. It's a bunch of different experiments together. But all the people have Coptic names. So if you know Coptic. Yeah, Moaz, were you gonna say something?
It reminds me of that novel series which is like based on Greek mythology.
Percy
I don't
Jackson?
remember what it was called. Yeah.
Percy Jackson, yeah. Rick Riordan also wrote a series called The Kane Chronicles. The Red Pyramid, and it's pretty good. That's actually what inspired me to do this. I was reading the King Chronicles, and there's a lot of, I don't want to seem like I'm nitpicking because it's a fantasy book for young adults, but there are a lot of like Egyptology mistakes in there. And I thought like, oh, it would be really neat to write a book where like all the Egyptology is, 100% exact, and it's like actually depicting a world as though it were a totally new thing for people, without kind of like, I don't want to bring in like every Hollywood movie about ancient Egypt is always set in the fucking desert. And I just want to like grab them and shake them and be like, people don't live in the desert. People didn't live out in the desert. They lived in the valley where it's green and nice. And there's a river there and it's very pleasant and there's trees and
Yeah,
everything.
and that's a thing I hate as an Egyptian, that everyone thinks that Egyptians just live in a desert.
Yeah, it's so annoying. It's just really frustrating to me because like I lived in Egypt for 2 years. I hardly ever even went to the desert, except like taking a microbus from Alex to Cairo. Then you go on like the desert road, but you don't spend time there unless you're actually going camping or something. You don't spend time. So like that, like right off the bat, my story is just filled with plants and trees and water. And so anybody who only has like a cursory knowledge of ancient Egypt from Hollywood movies will probably not recognize that it's Egypt. But that's on purpose. I want people to kind of have that, like, I want ideally like a 14-year-old to read this book and get 90% of the way through it before realizing that it's set in Egypt. And then it just kind of totally changing their understanding of what this place is. And then them developing the understanding that like you and I have from having spent time there versus the understanding that you get from Hollywood. So yeah, it's all those things at
Wait, is
once.
it actually set in Egypt or a fictional world based on Egypt?
Fictional world based on Egypt. So it's sort of like, I would say it has the relationship to Egypt that Middle Earth has to medieval Europe. So it's like undeniably like this place in every way, but it's not explicitly the same place, and it has things in it that are not real. So like it has Tay, it has the land of the dead in it, and like I don't know, I don't think modern Egyptians really imagine that if they go west long enough, they're going to enter the land of the dead. So yeah, so it is fantastic, but it's also set in Egypt. Like it's on a river, and there's like cities on the river that have all of their ancient Egyptian names.
It's an easy way to get yourself out of any sort of trouble. They're like, that's not what it's like in Egypt. It's like, I never said it was Egypt.
Yeah, well, that's actually partly on purpose. I want to be able to like play with things for the sake of the story. Like I want to have some creative freedom. So like they go to Elephantine at the very beginning. I think that's where they go. I don't remember anymore. But then they're like on the west bank of the Nile, and the distance from the shore, where their boat is to where they go to get into the tombs is like 10 times as far as it is in real life. In real life, you just like walk up the hill and there are the tombs. But I put a lot of like plants and water and a canal in between them just so they have more space for that part of the story to take place, which is obviously like I'm just like messing with reality. But it's not totally made up because those tombs actually exist and that place actually exists.
How do you
So yeah.
pronounce that city? Elephantine? Because I've heard Elephantine. I've heard everything.
Yeah, I said Elephantine for like 10 years until someone corrected me. I think it's Elephantine is the actual
Or just
pronunciation.
Yiv.
What's that?
Or just the Coptic name, Yiv. Yiv.
Yave.
Yiv.
Yeah, is that where they go at the beginning of my book? Because you just read it, Christian. I don't remember. I haven't finished going through all your notes. Is it Yave?
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah, okay, it's Elephantine then. And also I put the temple in the other direction. Like there's all these little details that aren't exactly the same. I flipped the temple around so that the sun rises from behind it. So
Blasphemy.
You get this really awesome like ta-ta, where like the sun comes through the pylon and there's like a procession and stuff. But then the temple in Elephantine in real life isn't actually facing that way, so that wouldn't work.
But
So
with
yeah, that's
one
just
eye
like a
to the
lot.
movie rights, I guess.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. If there, I mean, if somebody
Already
wants to make
map
a
out the
movie,
scene.
I've actually like I listen to a lot of podcasts from fiction writers because I'm learning how to do this, and most of them say that they actually imagine the movie version of their book when they're writing scenes. It's totally true. I totally imagine it like as a movie. And then maybe one day it will be a movie, which would be awesome because one, a lot of people will go see it and learn cool things about ancient Egypt and maybe become Egyptologists or whatever. And two, I would make a lot of money, which would be amazing because I am so poor. Yeah, it'd be nice not to have to worry about
You're
money.
not making any money off of this, is that that's for sure.
Not really, but it's okay. I mean, it's definitely worth.
I know.
And speaking of this, we should probably do our actual work.
It's
So I've been
half-half.
rambling. I've been rambling for half an hour. Does anyone remember where we stopped last time? I don't
I
remember.
think we
know
got to
did.
the 100 sheep, if I'm not mistaken, number 6.
100 sheep. Wow,
So
that's a hell of a example.
And then we
Wow.
got stuck in did Leighton get the numbers wrong, or did Alan get the numbers wrong? And as we established in the chat, Alan has it right, and I think Leighton just has a typo.
Yeah. So Leighton has. Let me go ahead and look at those really quickly. Oh wait, Leighton has a typo or Lambden has a typo?
Lambden has it. Sorry, what am I saying? Leighton has it wrong, and Alan has it right, and Lambden, I don't think we got that far yet. So
Oh, okay.
he only had like one.
Oh man, I don't know. Some kind of crashing. Is everyone okay?
Moaz, you still with us?
Yeah.
You're okay, Moaz.
I mean, my ears got a bit destroyed, but I'm okay.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm
good.
trying to figure out where that came from. Oh well.
So yeah, what is it? Okay, so it's not actually 90, it's a different one.
Phi is 90. That's
Phi is
correct.
90.
Phi is
Okay.
90. It's not 500. That is phi.
Oh, here. This
Yep.
part is wrong. And what is the usual 500?
Phi.
Phi.
Like PH.
Okay. He just pushed the wrong button on his Coptic keyboard. Didn't notice.
That's what I think too, probably.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, that's totally explicable. It's actually one of the disagreements I have with Leighton that I wouldn't hammer him on because it's obviously just a typo. There's so many things where Leighton just like changes things into something else, and it annoys me to no end because it's like, why would you change this into something that's wrong? Anyway, okay, so I see Aurelio, Christian, and Moaz. So let's just take turns. Moaz, do you want to do number 7?
Sure. Pemme snö pemme shammet champesechef.
Can you try that last
And
word
I
again?
think that's the champesechef.
Shop meh. You're switching the M and the P.
Yeah,
You're saying shump.
champesechef.
There we go. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I confused them. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry to nitpick
So I
that.
think it means this. Yeah, it's okay. I think it means the 2nd or the 3rd up to the 7th.
Yeah.
I'm not
That's
sure.
what it means. The 2nd or the 3rd up to the 7th. This is clearly a Bible verse. I'm trying to remember the context. Is it generations? The 2nd, the 3rd, up to the 7th? I don't know. But yeah, that's definitely what it means. The 2nd or the 3rd up to the 7th. So I don't know if there's really anything to dig into here. You've seen this meh prefix that turns a my ordinal number into a cardinal number. I hope I'm using those terms correctly. So it takes it takes 2 and it turns it into second. So snow is 2. In this dialect, it's snow for whatever reason. It's probably still snow, but they just write it with epsilon. And then, so the second one or the third one, so shomant becomes shamant in this dialect. It's just the word shomant. Worth noting that the N in Saitic is actually intrusive. The word was originally, didn't have an N in it, I think. It would be humped out an N, I believe. I'd have to look that up to be totally sure. And then seshef, obviously sashfi 7 or shashfi, however you say it. And 7th. Okay, yeah, there's really nothing to dig into there that I see. Does anyone have any questions about that sentence? Okay, in that case, Aurelio,
Okay.
do you want to do number 8?
Mechtode in Verdesche in Teusche. So I think it's a fragment only. The fourth watch of the night, the fourth night watch.
Yeah. Um,
So what is
yeah, and
the?
it's
I guess
it has the de. What's the de doing there?
I would say that's taken from Greek. Normally,
Yep.
it's like a day-men kind of couple.
Shoot,
So
I'm gonna
something
take this.
like as for the fourth watch of the night or the fourth hour, yeah, fourth double hour of the night, something like that. I'm guessing.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna find this in the. That's why sorry, I'm moving things around underneath you. Yeah, so at the fourth watch of the night, that's gonna be in here somewhere. Would it be mafto? Let's just see what we find that way. No, maybe mefto will give it to us. Oh no, this is a different.
You could
Oh, the fourth
look
C.
for watch too, I'm guessing.
Oh yeah. Wait, what was that word? Warsche? Warsh?
I was gonna do it in English.
Oh yeah, watch.
Oops.
I got too many keyboards all the time. Always messing around with the different keyboards. Oh wait, there it was. I just saw it. Fourth watch.
There you go. Rentemechto de Veresche in Teusche. That's what we just said.
Yeah. And then Jesus went away to them, walking upon the sea. Oh, this is the scene of walking on the water. So they're in the boat on the Sea of Galilee, and there's a storm, and Jesus walks out, rescues them. He just strolls out there. It's pretty neat. Okay, so that's what's happening. It's just the dad then is, what is the dad doing?
I mean, if it just stands by itself, no men, then it's still I would take it like, yeah, it's some kind of a modal particle that's hard to translate into English.
Yeah, it doesn't really work very well.
As it, I don't want to say as it happened or, and then I guess I think the most idiomatic would be and then in the fourth hour of the night, blah blah blah.
Yeah,
Does that?
and you actually want that preposition in here. You want hen, because otherwise it doesn't really make any sense without it, to have a de.
True.
Because you really want the hen there. It shows two things. So the first thing it shows is that this is actually one stress unit, because de is postpositive. It goes after the first stressed unit of the sentence. So hen to mefto is one stress in all of that. It's on to. So the preposition itself does not have stress. It's prefixed to the noun, which is why you get things like assimilation in prepositions where the n changes to an m, because they really are not being vocalized as distinct words. They are being combined even mentally by the speaker into single compounds with preposition and the noun. And then the de, and then you really need, I think you need the hen too, just to like, because this makes it sound like it's the subject of the sentence, the fourth watch of the night, but it isn't. It's in the fourth watch of the night. So I find that very confusing. Theoretically, it could be, though. The fourth watch of the night was uneventful, or whatever. You can make a sentence like that. Okay, are there any questions about number 8?
Well, just one quick question on, so I'm guessing the watches are 2-hour watches, so it's not a single hour. So where does that put us? The fourth watch of the night, 8, start at 8 in the evening. So we're talking early morning hours here?
Oh, I guess so. I hadn't actually thought about it.
I never realized that the whole walking upon water thing happened during nighttime. That's kind of, that's unexpected. That's not how I saw that scene playing out.
I knew that because the one of the stained glass windows in the church that I went to growing up had that scene, and it was dark in the background.
Huh.
He's
Oh, my
walking on the water.
picture as a kid were wrong then. Just kidding.
Yeah. I think probably a lot of depictions show it taking place during the day, but just by random chance, the First United Methodist Church in Waxahachie, Texas, has it as a nighttime scene.
Historically accurate a nighttime picture.
Who knew?
Okay.
Wow,
Okay.
that's a great church, by the way. I loved that church. It's a beautiful old church in a little town in Texas. I'm not a big fan of small Texas towns or their worldview as a rule, but I do like little Texas churches, in much the same way that I like Egyptian mosques. Anyway, so yeah, there we go. I learned something. Yeah, it happens at night. I don't know when the fourth watch is specifically. I'd have to look it up to know. I really, it never even occurred to me to wonder. I kind of just thought of it as like sometime. Yeah, it would have to be early morning. It's pretty far into the night. It's telling you that it is thoroughly dark for sure. And they've been on the water for some time. It's also dark and it's raining, because the whole reason Jesus has to go out there and get things in order is because the storm is going to destroy their little boat, which is like, how crappy is your boat that it could be sunk by a storm on the Sea of Galilee? I mean, it's literally a lake. Like, wow, you need to work on your boat making skills, guys. Anyway, not to offend any of the saints. Christian, do you want to read this next one?
Yeah, sure. So I actually pre-read a little bit and figured out some of the little twists here, but here I go. Etao sotem de nje pike matetes au kremrem etve pison snau. So they heard, namely, or they did hear. Is this the focalizing or the second?
It is. It's also the temporal in Bohairic. So this is Bohairic dialect. This could be the second tense, the second preterite, or it can be the temporal, when they heard.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, but okay. So when they when they heard, and then when they heard, namely, pike matides, this other
mate.
I wasn't sure about this. The key
here.
Here.
Mate.
And then matides was like disciples in plural.
Became mate in matites. It's an abbreviation.
Sorry, my internet's really bad right now.
The Yoda is an abbreviation for mate. Put it in chat. Hang on.
For what? Sorry,
mate.
My internet cut out for a sec.
Number 10.
Mate. Oh, mate. Oh. Oh, okay. So it's a number. All right. I thought you meant like
the English word
mate. But
disciples are mating now. I don't know. The story's really gone off the rails.
Yeah. Can you guys still hear me? I think my connection's pretty bad.
We hear you.
Yeah.
Okay. So the other 10 disciples. Yeah.
Yeah.
They heard, and then they kremremed about the
Sounds
other
like what it
two
means.
Brothers. Kremrem.
It's like
I'm not sure.
They murmured,
like
or gossiped,
or mumbled, or like
it is basically kind of African word, something like, something, maybe you should, that something geminated.
Oh yeah, the reduplication.
Reduplication, yeah.
Yeah.
Reduplicated words. There is so many in African languages.
Yeah, in Egyptian too. Reduplicated verbs are very common, and that pattern of now I have to think of an example of one, and that's always impossible for me to do.
Oops, sorry, I had to jump out for a sec. Did you guys already say what it meant? I'm sorry, my internet broke down for a sec.
Yeah, murmur.
Oh,
So
there's murmur. Okay.
yeah,
So the other 10 disciples murmured about the two brothers.
yeah.
When they had heard about what they had heard.
When they had heard, yeah, when they heard, the other 10 disciples murmured about the two brothers or gossiped about the two brothers or whatever.
Podcast.
I don't know what this
Or the
scene is. Oh man, it's so annoying to me that this is in the wrong place. I've got to get it here. Okay, that's where I want it to be. Whew. That was super annoying. See what we get. Oh, there's going to be a bunch of those.
Should we
Of
look
course
for the
it's-
grumble? For the murmur
Yeah.
grumble part?
That's a good idea.
Now, murmur is also reduplicated. Did we just prove that Latin is Afro-Asiatic?
Yeah, yes.
Non sequitur, non sequitur. Let's not go
That's
there.
exactly what
Here we
happened.
go.
Yeah, it's similar.
Yeah.
Definitely, I think that might even be sort of common to all humans. That's a really common thing that people do. And yeah, reduplication in Latin doesn't work exactly the same way. But you still get that. Yeah, put two of the same syllable together and you get a word that sounds like it means something. I think it's just where it's used is quite different. So we have this one case where murmur, you get kind of this onomatopoetic quality of murmur, and you also get that with kremrem. A lot of times reduplication in Coptic or in Egyptian doesn't involve any sound. It's just, you like take the root of the verb and say it twice, and that means something else. So
There is also in Arabic something like, as I remember, something like ship for means slipper or something like that.
yeah, there's a bunch of
lot of Asian
examples.
languages
Like
have it.
Yeah, in Egyptian Arabic, yeah, shibshib means slipper.
I also know how rem
I
is
think
like
they
backwards
also-
for murmur.
Oh, nice.
We're really far afield here with all the use of reduplication, but I think it's going to fill up the video.
Yeah, we could easily talk about reduplication for the rest of the time.
Hard
I was just going to
science.
look at this situation, see what's going on here. Sit on my right hand and on my left, not mine to give, what's those for whom it hath been prepared by my Father. The 10 having heard were much displeased with the two brothers.
Must be further up, huh?
Yeah, we got to go a little
Stay.
further up. I don't remember this at all. Oh, it's not a major scene. So predicting what's going to happen when he goes to Jerusalem. Mother of the sons of Zebedee. I don't remember this at all. But she asked them to sit at the right hand of Jesus. Okay, yeah, whatever happens there. As long as it's not like a major scene where we're supposed to know what's going on, I'm not going to worry about it too much. Has everyone got a chance to read? Are we back to start? Oh, Mustafa,
Yeah,
do you want to read?
I'll try my best. Jote en stadion en map. Jote means
Give you a hint. Jot.
yeah,
Te.
20.
20. Te.
Jote 25 stadion
25.
stadium. I don't know.
Stadia. Yeah, stadion.
Stadia. Mob means some. I suppose means is long length or kilo, something like kilo 30. Yeah. Okay.
So it's, yeah, mob means 30. So jute and stadion e mav.
That's bunch of mean. I mean, there is no meaning. I couldn't understand.
25
Jote
25 stadions or
30.
stadia or 30. 25 stadia or 30.
Okay, yeah, I get it.
25 or 30 stadia is what it means.
Yeah.
And it's
I
just
get
like
it.
they're just being approximate, like somewhere between 25 and 30. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it makes sense.
I get
25
it.
or 30, like somewhere between there, around that neighborhood. Okay. We're moving on. We're almost like, oh, sorry. We're almost out of time. We can probably do some more. Oh man, look at this big juicy one. Who wants this one?
That's a beast.
It is. It's like a monster.
Oh, damn.
So I can try. I was just
Okay.
trying to look up some of the words again. So let's see. Ratre empatouche ehun impewe ayo. Min pewer hafchintus esed eval gen upneuma et web. And the whole thing is mesochemic. All right.
Hmm.
And luckily, Alan gives us a whole bunch of the vocabulary underneath. Otherwise,
Oh,
it would
does
be
he? That's
difficult.
nice.
Yeah, he does. It's like basically half of the words are glossed at the bottom, if not more. So let's
This
break
one
this
is
up.
actually has a mistake in it, which I didn't catch when I was proofreading.
Oh, okay.
Mm.
But that is a not yet kind of temporal, right? After
Yeah,
the,
but he says they had. Oh wait, empatouche. Yeah, it's they had not gone. Should be they had not gone.
right. Yeah. So hatre after empatouche, after they had not gone, ihun in min beware. I would have had no idea, but luckily it's in the vocabulary together. Little
Yeah, this is the mesochemic equivalent of what we would have as like newareu in Bohairic or Saitic. There, let me just find an example. Newareu, something like that.
Okay.
To each other. So this is literally to their companions, and areu is like the iri, you know, the little seated man holding the stick in hieroglyphs. It's like iri, like doorkeeper or whatever, companion.
Yeah. Iriat, something like.
Yeah, exactly, that word. So that it survives in Coptic in most dialects in the plural. So neu ereu, so their companions or their seconds. And then this is to their companions, so together, like you know, they did something together. And then this dialect for some reason has men pewer with their companion, literally, to mean together.
I see.
So before they had not gone in with each other. Chentas asete val.
So Chentis, he found. He found her. It said in the vocabulary pregnant. Eval gen pneuma. Yep. Hello?
Yeah.
Eval
And so,
gen upneuma et rep. So from the or of the Holy Spirit. Is said, is that a relative? Basically the A being a relative pronoun and the said somehow, I'm not quite sure where it's coming from.
so I'll say this for not the last time, because I say this like every single class, and so this it can be relative. So you can have like urome, probably ushime, s8, so a woman who has conceived, but it's actually just the circumstantial in all cases. It's just that Coptic uses the circumstantial to express an idea that we would use a relative pronoun for in English. So a lot of grammars treat this as like a relative, or they call it the pseudo relative, or they just straight up treat it as a relative pronoun. That's actually technically not correct, because it's not a relative pronoun. It is the circumstantial converter. So this is, in this case, it's kind of adjectival, but it's S8. So she being 8, from O to conceive.
Conceive. Yeah.
What do you think 8 is?
Maybe a qualitative that belongs
That's
to. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Got it. Also explains the T at the end.
Yep. So why is there a T at the end of a lot of qualitatives in certain dialects?
I again would have thought that somehow, but no, I don't know. I thought it was the old infinitive ending, but then again,
Not in this
why
case.
is that? Is
But
it?
I think, doesn't Middle Egyptian have a stative that ends with a T?
Yep. So
Oh, it's a stative.
it's a stative,
Ah,
yeah. And the feminine, third person feminine ends with a T, and the third person masculine ends with an U, or with just a vowel at the end. So in some dialects, especially Saitic, you get very few T's in the qualitative, because they actually took the third person masculine form for their qualitative. And then in other dialects, you get T's all the time because they're borrowing the third person feminine form.
fascinating. I had no
Yeah.
idea.
Pretty cool stuff.
But they didn't distinguish in the stative between gender.
No,
Ever.
by the time of late Egyptian, they've become very, very casual with conjugating the stative. They basically just use the third person for everyone, and then they use a pronoun to mark, to actually conjugate it. So this just becomes a fixed thing, and that's how we get the qualitative in Coptic, which is so conveniently just like one form. But if you compare across dialects, you'll see a lot of dialects have a qualitative that ends in a vowel or just ends in nothing, versus a T in other dialects, and that's because they're borrowing the different masculine versus feminine form. So yeah.
One more thing I found confusing here, Hen-U pneuma. How come we have a Holy Spirit? I mean, you would assume there's only one, at least.
Yeah. So this is a construction that Coptic uses a lot to create like adverbial phrases. So like hinu chepe, we've seen before. It's like in a hurry or quickly. So it's literally in a hurry, or that can also mean quickly. So that hen-u construction becomes sort of regularized as the way of marking something as being adverbial, or expressing something about the manner in which something happened. Or in this case, it's kind of instrumentative. It's like really by means of the Holy Spirit.
Okay.
But yeah, they're just using the standardized form. Henu pneumatwev. It's just like in a Holy Spirited way. She's impregnated in a very Holy Spirited sort of way. That's her story, and she's sticking to it. And on that note, I think that's all. I think we have to stop because I have to go do the other class. So we're just going to start here next time.
Yeah.
Thank you, Aurelio, for taking that really huge sentence. Wait, what is next week? The 20th? March 20th. Okay. All right. So that's where we'll be next week, and we'll do some more Coptic
See you
dialects.
five
Sounds good.
minutes. See you in
Okay.
5 minutes.
See you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
See you in a bit. Bye,
Bye.
everyone.